teachers think about this. So now, this is actually not in the video mosaic. This will be one of the videos that goes in next.
If you have one half, and if you take the one half, which would be the dark green, you have the one half, and then these are the thirds. How could one half be bigger than the thirds by 1/3? Because, and you have the half and the thirds together, that the half is almost as big as 2/3.
So I'm going to show you more of this. There are a couple of things that I'd like to point out. First, the problem that they're arguing about is whether a half is a third, again, as big as a third. So they're having a debate about this issue. Some say yes, some say no, and he's making his argument no. So this is an introduction to fractions, and there are some certain mathematical milestones that happen and that are represented by the discussion in this video that are hopefully the students will pull out, but we're online sort of, my TA and I are online sort of mentoring them into seeing some of these things as necessary, but they're very good at this point in the course at pretty deeply analyzing what's happening here and thinking interesting things about it, and I'm amazed sometimes. Things I've never expected or thought about myself are coming up in these wonderful online discussions. This video is smaller. It's actually a smaller size than it will be when in a couple of weeks we load it into Video Mosaic, so it will be better presented. This is just one that I decided to load in because of its usefulness in this course. But I'd like for you to see a little bit more of it because this is really a wonderful thing that's going on in the classroom.
The 2/3 are not exactly one. The dark green is not exactly as big as 2/3, but 2/3. But it's far enough so that the 2/3 are not bigger than it by 1/3. Because now I disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't really think that if you have this, that you could have 1/3 bigger than it, because it's got to be 1/3 and probably 1/3 and a half. It couldn't be exactly 1/3, because 1/3 bigger. This will be 1/3 bigger, like that to the end over there. That would actually be like this. This would really be 1/3 bigger, and there's still some left over. Yeah, there's still about a half left over. Yeah, there's still one more. There's still one more piece left. Because there's about a sixth left. Like if you green, and it doesn't exactly equal up to. It doesn't exactly equal up. It's less than 2/3, but it's more than 1/3. It's just about 1/3 and a half, so it couldn't be exactly 1/3 bigger than it. It couldn't be exactly 2/3, or it couldn't be exactly 1/3 bigger. It had to be 1/3 and a half. So yeah, I think because if you have the light green it's not bigger than not bigger than.
I'm getting the 5-minute signal, so I'm going to stop that, though it's a lot of fun to watch. So you can actually go in as a guest on our Moodle site and take a look at it, but it's not that easy to see kind of the structure of things that's going on. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the things that we're developing that will enable us to more conveniently share these interventions, and these will be shared as part of Video Mosaic. So when you are able to access a video, you will also be able to access some designed interventions that have used those particular videos, or that could be used with a number of different videos, and a representation of those interventions will be present on the site. So we're putting a lot of thought into what kinds of representations do we use? And we've been exploring something called workflow, which is, since many of you are administrators, you probably know what workflow is. It's something that emerged from process and manufacturing and business systems, and you might say, well, how could you possibly apply that to education? Well, we're trying. A workflow expression captures the working of a system from beginning to end, and what we are really doing is drawing both from business and the idea of scientific workflows, and I've just got a couple of representations here. Business workflow on the left, which is kind of a program for processes that happen. Scientific workflows are a little bit different in that they share some processing strategies, some tools, and there's a lot of emphasis on the tools. And in education, we've sort of equated these processing strategies with instructional routines. So we've borrowed quite a bit from both of these ideas from business and scientific workflows. And we actually have a question, a hypothesis. Can designed online educational interventions be represented as workflows? And can we share these adaptable interventions with this kind of representation? But it doesn't stop with just online. My stuff is online. But in New Jersey, we're doing quite a bit of face-to-face instruction as well, teacher professional development workshops and so forth. So we're also asking, can we use these workflow representations to represent what happens in a classroom? Workflows are derived from data collected in the classroom. And in a face-to-face classroom, we have to do a lot of this qualitative kind of data collection, surveys, field notes, interviews, videotaping, and so forth. What's cool about online is a lot of this can be mined from the online data, from the modules themselves and from the activity logs in the background. And so one of my students' dissertations projects, Alan Heckbart's dissertation project, involves creating workflows from data mined in the online environment. So we started off with a kind of basic workflow modeling language. We've gotten into this as something new to us. And I'm just going to flip through a couple of iterations. This was our sort of version 1 of workflow expression of one of our units online called Adventures in Argument. And you can go through here and see that there were certain videos used, that there were certain activities. And these numbers here actually involve compliance, to what extent the students were actually complying to what they were asked to do. 67% of the students actually viewed this video, 100% viewed this video. They were supposed to compare it in a discussion. 92% of them participated in that. So this was kind of our first idea. And so we showed it to some people, and they said, well, it's kind of confusing, and this way and that way, and we tried to improve it. We also developed this idea in scientific workflows. This is actually a more detailed version. So if you actually clicked on discussion here and you wanted to see, if, for example, you were a researcher, how much discussion was going on, you could then look at this and see that, all right, there's a lot of discussion going on in group 1. Group 2, they didn't do as much. They sort of got involved here at the end a little bit. And so one of our, as design researchers, one question we ask with these kinds of representations is, can we redesign this course to make more groups act like that next time? So workflows are used both for sharing, but also you can unpack the specific ideas in those workflows and see details of what's going on. So these are some things we've discovered about workflows. They need to represent flow and structure of activities in a classroom. They need to show the relationship of tools and resources to activities. They need to illustrate pedagogical processes. What are the separate inputs to those processes, what videos, what readings, and so forth. They need to represent what are the outputs of processes and the performance assessments associated with those, including the rubrics if they're involved, the instruments that are used to collect. And there needs to be a differentiation in the workflow representation between what was intended and what was actually enacted in an enacted workflow. How successful was it in engaging the students? Because that tells you some pieces that might not be working too well. So here's some other efforts where we sort of separated the inputs from the outputs. So we're still struggling with this, how to make this come along. But we're migrating it now to the website, and it's beginning to look more like this. And you will be able to go to our website, before even this goes on to Video Mosaic, you will be able to go to our website and see some representations of some units we're offering. And so here you have a unit called Adventures in Argumentation. The videos that were input to the unit, there, if you mouse over these, you'll be able to find those and see what those are. The Adventures in Argumentation text, you can identify what that is. We can't always post it on